And welcome to Hannity, and we're coming to you live from Saratoga Springs. We're in beautiful upstate New York. It is just 8 days. Hello, hi, welcome. In 8 days, voters from this state will head to the polls and help decide who they want to be the 2016 presidential nominee. 95 Republican delegates up for grabs, and tonight, GOP presidential candidate. He's the governor of the great state of Ohio. A good friend for the entire hour. John Kasich is with us. How are you? How are you? Good. All right. Standing room only. There's like 1 million people standing behind there.
Oh, yeah.
All around the room. Yeah. I saw you had 4,000 people in Rochester. Something happening that maybe we're not aware of?
Well, for the first time in about the last month, they actually know my name is John Kasich and not governor of Ohio, because we didn't get any attention before, did we? But now we're starting to get it, and people are hearing the message, and they're showing up. Right. You know what, Sean? Honestly, it is really amazing. It's an amazing experience to go through this, and I wasn't going to tell this story, but maybe I will. I was in Greece, New York, and people were waiting outside in line. I mean, I can't believe it, right? It's by the grace of God that I've been given a chance to do these things. And there was a group of disabled folks, and they were screaming at me and disrupting. And the people started getting upset, and I said, don't get upset. These folks have lived in the shadows for, 100 years, and they need attention. And they screamed a little bit more, and then the whole thing ended. And somebody on my staff said they're still in the gym. So I went in to see them. There were 3 of them, and they were very severely disabled. And they said, we came at 7 in the morning. They stuck us in the back. And I said, well, look, I'm helping you because, frankly, the Lord wants me to help you. And I said, we'll take a picture, and I'm going to have my head of the whole operation in Ohio call you to see if there's some other things we can be doing, because it's been a high priority. And then as I was leaving, this young lady, young girl, she was 17, I didn't know how old she was, she said, could I take a picture with you? And I said, yeah, you can take a picture. And she started shaking and crying.
You scare some people. No,
well,
I'm kidding.
No, I mean, this is really amazing. And I said to her, what's wrong, young lady? She said, I never thought that I would have a chance to meet you. And I put my arm around her shoulder and I said, listen, so much of this is about celebrity in life. You don't really know me. You see me maybe on television and you get excited. But you are what's important. What's inside of you. Not some celebrity or somebody who you think is important. It's you. And then I felt so inadequate. Because there's people here tonight who have problems, people here who are hurting, people who are here, Sean, they just want somebody to care about them. And I always feel so inadequate when I see a group like this, and I kind of like, what can I do? What is it that I could personally do to just make everybody feel a little bit better?
You got a fan over there.
No, but... you and I, Sean and I have known each other for a very long time. And Sean's been, he's had groups like this all over the country. I've seen it happen. And Sean, you and I, my dad carried mail. Your dad was a police officer.
Was a probation
officer.
I lived in probation my whole life. Yeah.
Well, you look at them and they just want to believe that life can be better, that their kids can do well, that they're going to get a fair shake. And it's amazing that we have a chance to be able to, in some ways,
I agree,
help you and help each other, which is really what matters. Like I told that young lady, a young girl, the spirit of our country rests in us, not in a politician, not in a celebrity. It rests in our families, our neighborhoods, and our communities.
Before you came out, I tell my stupid jokes a little bit, but I do say one serious thing before we do these interviews to every audience. I've asked you this question before, but when you think of the magnitude of the numbers, 95 million Americans out of the labor force, 50 million in poverty, 46 million on food stamps, real Americans, real families, our friends, our neighbors, really suffering. And to add one point, government's hurting them. Government's not helping them. And we now have doubled our debt. We now have 120 trillion in unfunded liabilities. And I worry if America's in such a decline, if we can reverse it. Am I too negative?
Yeah, I think we can reverse it. But here's the thing, Sean. If you go to a doctor and you say, how can we have a healthy economy? The doctor will say, do not crush small business with regulations because you will put them out of business and people will lose their jobs. Okay, number one. Make sure you always cut taxes for people and for companies so they can employ more people. And thirdly, let's have some common sense and let's balance a budget. So now you go to the doctor. Yeah, those are the three things. So you go to the doctor and you say, and the doctor says, well, I'm not feeling very well. He says, well, what are you doing? I said, well, we are regulating businesses out of existence. We're raising taxes on everything that is happening in this country. And finally, we've blown up the budget. Wonder why you're not feeling well. There is a formula that works. I did it in Washington. As you know, I've done it in Ohio. Put a team together. Throw out all the goofy politics. Focus on the problem and go fix it. That's all you got to do.
When you did leave a, what, $5 trillion surplus. What was the deficit that you conquered?
Because I mean, it was real. I don't have that number in front of me, but it was, you know, giant. We paid down $500 billion of the national debt. Right. And we had 4 years of a balanced budget. But you know what happened? And this is the thing that burns you up. I left Washington. We had a projected $5 trillion surplus. It could have provided private accounts for young people in addition to Social Security. And it was the House Republicans, the Senate Republicans, and the President spent it, and the Republican President spent it all. The difference between Republicans and Democrats love to spend, so do Republicans. Republicans just feel guilty when they do it. Yeah. And that's why you have to, Sean, you got to have somebody that stands in the breach and says, we got to remember all the people, not the special interests that pick
so angry
at you.
Republicans. John Boehner was Speaker. He had the power of the purse. I read the Constitution, and they wouldn't use it to balance the budget, and the debt went up $4-point-some-odd trillion with a Republican Speaker and a Republican House. They didn't keep their promise. They didn't stop or Obamacare or defund it, and then they went ahead with the executive amnesty, and they ended up funding that when they ran in 2014 and said they wouldn't.
Well, I don't think that anybody should make a promise when they run for office that they don't legitimately think they can keep. And that's what happens all the time. You know what? A lot of people in this country, when they saw me in the debates, I would talk about my record in Washington, my record in Ohio, and people would say, why do you keep talking about that? I'll tell you why. Today, if a politician's lips are moving, we believe they're lying. So the reason why I talk about what I've done is if I tell you I have done it before, then I have credibility to tell you what I'm going to do because of this. You know, I'm a citizen, too. People want my vote. When they come to see me, they say, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. I said, what have you done? I don't want to hear about all these great things you're going to do. How can I believe you? What have you ever done in your life that convinces me that what you tell me is true? And so that's why I talk about it. I want to just say this to everybody here. Look, I know we're worried about the security of our job. I know we're worried our kids got education. They're still living at home. I understand all of that. This can all be fixed if we work as Americans, if we're able to enact conservative ideas and bring the country together, Sean. Look, when we balanced the budget, when I left Washington, you know, with Senator Domenici, we had enormous job growth, wage growth, no discussion on income inequality, and bet you that Hillary Clinton will be talking about the Clinton economy when she runs this fall. And the only reason why we got to a balanced budget is because the Republicans, House and Senate, we had guts, and we acted as public servants and not as politicians.
Really important.
Am I right?
Let me ask you, I actually was there, because Newt Gingrich was the Speaker, and I was there emceeing his event the night he became Speaker of the House. And you're right, because President Clinton at the time said, oh, we'll balance it in 7 years, 8 years, between 7 and 9, between 8 and 10,
or we'll use
all over the place.
Numbers.
And then you insisted with Pete Domenici on numbers, and we did get to a balanced budget. You're giving a speech tomorrow. 2 paths. Give us a preview.
Well, look, you can, I've learned this when I was actually in New Hampshire. I can come in here and talk about all of our problems, and I can drive them right into the ditch, and I can make them angry, I can get them to be divided, polarized, and I can turn anger into things that border hate. Or I can come in here and acknowledge all these problems, but I can tell you how we can fix it. Now look, you just asked the question, is America in decline? Are you kidding me? Our economy is just by far the strongest in the world. We're the center of innovation. We're the center of invention. Medicine, if you take a look at life expectancy, transportation, we just are dominating the world. Now, we're drifting. We can fix it. And we don't want to be saying America's worst days are behind us. Look, you do a good job when you're realistic, not pie in the sky, and you can convince people that if we can shed the nonsense, of course we can climb out of this. We've had a lot worse times than what we have right now.
The problem, from my vantage point, is I don't see the political will to get it done. I'll give you one example.
I agree with that.
For example, we have illegal immigration. Republicans have said they're going to build a fence. Democrats, they don't want to build a fence because they want a constituency. Republicans want cheap labor, and there's no fence built, which means not only can people come here that want a better life and jobs, but so can ISIS. They have failed the American people on simple, basic tasks.
Well, look.
By the way, you didn't give us a preview of the speech, so I have to go back to that.
Well, that's a little, I mean, it's going to be a humdinger, I believe. But here's what I wanted, but it's going to be clear. But here's what I wanted you to know. We reformed welfare, had to get the Democrats to go along. We balanced the budget, which is one of the hardest things to do because everybody wants to spend, and we got that done. In Ohio, we went from way in the hole to now we're running surpluses. We're up 400,000 plus jobs. You see, Sean, you can't really lead from the House and the Senate. You can try. Newt found out you couldn't do it. You got to lead from the White House. And let me just tell you this. We will freeze all federal regulations for 1 year except for health and safety. We'll unwind the regulations we have. We will force the Congress to vote on regulations coming out of the bureaucracy in excess of $100 million. We're going to reduce the corporate taxes to 25%. We're going to bring the profits back from Europe because we're not going to double tax them. We're going to simplify the tax code and lower the taxes. We will have a path to balancing a budget. We'll move welfare, education, infrastructure, job training out of Washington. We will fix Social Security. We will secure the border and have a path to legalization and never citizenship. And then we will tell the world that we are, in fact, the leader of the world. And I promise you, I will have a plan to Congress within the first 100 days that will do all of that, every little bit of it.